to acknowledge most important people here with us. And then I'll say a few words on sport in general from a government perspective, and then I will sit down. But let me just express that I don't want you to see me as outgoing minister because I'm still in sports. I like sports. I like the work in there. Even physically, if I'm not the minister responsible for sports, I will be in the space of sports activities in the country. So therefore, in the space of sports activities in PNG, I am with you all the time. So see me in that perspective, because you will not see me go, well, still be here. Let me acknowledge the outgoing CEO, Mr. Albert Baratao. I heard you speak and I was happy. I'll take a bit of a remark later, but it's good to see you here. Happy, young, healthy, very fit. Let's give a round of applause to our president. And of course, we welcome the incoming CEO, a very focused, comprehensive, articulate, a very strategic and analytical in his presentation, I heard. And I'm happy that you have that kind of mind to be the incoming CEO to take over from what Mr. Barra said. Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'm also very happy to see Lady Nee. Lady Nee is a Papua New Guinean. She's been here for many years working with the various government policies in the space of sport, also as well as in business arena, and she is an asset. People like Lady Nee and others you find in business, in sport, in other strategic areas in Papua New Guinea. They are Papua New Guineans and they are an asset to our industries. And thank you for the presence to that. I was also acknowledge the chief executive officers, I think of the Council Commission, PNC Council Commission here. Yes, we're happy. Please let's give a round of applause for him being here. And also the tourism. I'm the CEO for tourism authority is also here. Very good. Let's welcome him here. And of course, other dignitaries. Development, yes, most important, the youth. The sport belongs to the youth. And your thing over here, and education, thank you, and everyone, and education, the First Secretary, Education Minister, I'm very happy to see all of you here. And always let me acknowledge all of you federations, sports federates in Papua New Guinea. I'm sure you representatives here. There's 40 plus, and most of you, I'm told you are here, and I'm happy that you're here because really to talk about sports and do sporting is the sports federates in this country that actually implement sports program and get involved in activities for sport. So let's give them a round of applause for being here present with us to the Handover-Takeover between the two CEOs. And not forgetting, people I've seen working with Mr. Baratao, like Mr. Malabak, like Ako, like Mr. Susube, like Paul and others that are you here. You are here, I've seen you work with Mr. Baratao in adding value to the job that the CEO has been doing. I acknowledge all of you. It's good to be here. I will be very professional because I wish not to speak political. Although I'm very, very political figure, but really politics is a parliament. There's enough politics to be here and there. So in my addressing or in my association with programs like this, I stay focused on the professional work that is before us, and I leave politics out, and that's what I will do. I have decided that the minister, the Honorable Lucas Dakana, who is the acting minister for sport, on our occasion, we will do our Handover-Takeover next week when he is here. So I have decided that I will officiate to witnessed the Handover-Takeover of the two CEOs, and when the minister is here, then we'll do ours next week. So I said, okay, and then I think that's better because it's no good I do that, and the minister's not here. It's unfair. I want the minister to be here, and we'll do it properly next week. I'd like to just address 3 or 4 issues. First issue is I'd like to address some work that I've seen Mr. Berta do. Then I'll come to some work that I had. The incoming CEO has articulated in his speech, and I like speeches like that, especially by technocrats. And third, I will put on to government policy. The Marape also governs policy on sport, so you understand the sport policies that are before you that you will administer. And of course, finally, I'll talk about Kandep, sports and Kandep. That's my lecture, narrative. However, Pastor, I did not overlook you, but I acknowledge you, Pastor, for praying. It's a good prayer today. When I talk about Kandep, I'm talking about Papua New Guinea during the games. Because Kandep is part of it we've been playing in many, and I think that's a preparation going on. So I'll address that. But first of all, Mr. Varatao, I have been looking you for, I think, 2 years up. And when I came in, I worked with Varatao, trying to understand the sports industry, the programs that are in place, the sport plan, development plan that was there, and the federates and what they're doing individually as to growing the sport as an industry. I also worked with him to look at the commercialization of the sport setup as to how are we making money using the facilities that we have under the PNG Sports Foundation. Also, I had an interest to see how our young people are engaged, especially school children from the age of 6 up, engaged in sport, or if there was any program there in sport there. And of course, the discipline, the governance, and the leadership that is in some of those federates. So those were the matter of concern from a government policy perspective. I thought, still I believe that the governance and leadership is very, very important in sport. Or in any organization, we must have the leadership there. We must have compliance to laws, procedures that I had both CEOs mentioned, those must be there. And I'd like to comment the outgoing CEO, that I saw him very focused on that, with all the federates as to complying to leadership that is required of all entities. The governance systems are in place. I saw the CEO trying his best to implement to make sure it was compliant by everybody. I also thought it was a good thing for him to integrate sport as a body so they synergize and work together. So I think, Mr. CEO, that's an area that I see you have done a lot of good work, and of course, the becoming CEO can carry on from there. I also saw the competitions are taking place in PNG, especially in all those different modes of sport. And there's some challenges, I tell you, some are easy and good. And of course, I saw some of the challenge was the financing or the sustainability of those individual sport modes. But I'd like to commend you volunteers and all the various federates. You did very, very well. The sport federations, I saw the stamina, the resilience, the strength in you. You somehow had the financial sustainability to conduct your competitions. And I commend you for that, all 44 plus sports, you've done well. And I've obviously in some of them, like basketball, like netball, rugby league, like soccer, volleyball, weightlifting, bodybuilding, did I go to? Yes, I think I did go to some bodybuilding, and so forth. And school sports, the University of Papua New Guinea against the University of Goroka, playing for the Vice Chancellor's Cup, and so forth. And athletics, Olaman, I'd like you to praise my candidate for athletes, because when they came in, they beat the Highlands and region athletes, and they came here and they won some medals there for Mosby to getting at the other bit. So those are wonderful moments I saw under the outgoing CEO, really created a platform for competition and quality engagement by all motor sports to take place. As also, there's big competitions in rugby league. Rugby league is a very big game here, and I've seen the opportunity within the Sports Foundation. But I like to also encourage all of us that rugby is not just a sport. There is many other sports that are there, and I've already mentioned 40 plus. So let's make sure that all of those sports activities are played, while at the same time we drive the biggest game of all, rugby league. And Australian government, like you had both speakers spoke, they're very engaged with Papua New Guinea. Our Prime Ministers, four of them spoke, Prime Minister Marape and Prime Minister Albanese, and they're very focused in supporting rugby league. But while we support rugby league, let's also diversify and grow the other sport as well. And I would like to commend the outgoing CEO for this work that he has done. And another thing that touched me, that he did, is the young kids in various parts of Papua New Guinea, especially in Port Moresby, Lae, Guinea Islands, and they were starting to go to the highlands, especially in Goroka and Hagen, I think, in mobilizing young children of 6 years, 7 years, 8 years. And I think thousands of them are already been mobilized and registered to sports. And I think that's a very strategic and wise thing to do, and I had the incoming CEO mention that. And I think that's a wise thing, because when you start to develop a sports culture from a small age, a younger age and up, it becomes a habit, a character, and then when everybody practices the same thing, it becomes a culture in the society. So I think that's one of those very peculiar achievements that I think Mr. Veratao has achieved, and I like to commend him for it. And this is a program that I gave some statement on the Parliament, go rural to go global. The young kids sports development is part of that strategy. To go global, we must nurture, create the nurseries of sports men, women, back in the villages, in the schools, and every focus in the churches, everywhere. But you go to the rural places and you harness this skill. There are people out there in Manu who can play soccer much better. You go to the place like Telefomin, maybe out there in some place like Kobiago, man, there's a girl out there who can play the sport. You go to a place like right back in Millen Bay, in a small place there, between Millen Bay and Central called Hagai, you got down the people there who can play sport. So, harnessing the talents, creating the nurseries in those places, and creating them the pathway to where those professional competitions or normal competitions at the national level and at the international level. I thought it's a very good idea, and they go rural to go global. It's a strategy that I think we will continue to drive it, because it's a wonderful program that I see young people are being trained and that nurseries are being created. So, Mr. Veratao, I'd like to, on behalf of the Marape government, of which I was the minister, thank you for serving faithfully under different circumstances. Of course, Albert is not perfect. Like all of us are not perfect, he would have stepped on some toe. He would have done certain things that some people in the pockets of the community or even the administration might not have been happy. But I tell you, these are challenging things. You work in the extreme, difficult circumstances, and one of those difficult circumstances was sending the Papua New Guinea Pacific team across to Solomon Islands. And there was no money. And thank you to Prime Minister on the last minute, the last hour, there was, I think, 8 million Kenya Prime Minister delivered here, and that saved the games there. So some stressful moments that CEO has gone through in meeting some very demanding activities like that. But Mr. Veratao, I'd like to thank you for the message you've done. I've just tried to highlight some of those things, but more you've done. I'm also seeing you set a platform for the unity game in Mendi. You've set a platform for the unity game in which you have now started to engage Southern Highlands people, the provincial government, Governor Polye, the member of Mendi, Norby, the member of Liverpool Tubu, the member of Imbongu, Never for Yalbo Pangi.